All right, guys. So JD Vance is kind of a sad character. He's kind of a pathetic character. Look, his job is to be Trump's bitch. His job is to be the water boy, right? Like, sit down, shut up, stay in the background. If I need you to come out here and defend me, you got to come out here and defend me. I mean, just, there's no moral core to this man. He's a sad husk of a gelatinous human being, like a bloated freak. But anyway, so as you all know, President Trump decided, I am going to ban Associated Press reporters from Air Force One and ban them from the White House. Now, why did he do that? Because the Associated Press decided, we're going to keep calling it the Gulf of Mexico because the rest of the world acknowledges it as the Gulf of Mexico. And Trump just came out on a whim and said, wrong, it's Gulf of America. And so they were just like, not buying it, we're going to call it Gulf of Mexico, right? Well, that offended Trump so much, offended MAGA so much, that he banned them from doing their jobs. You're not allowed on Air Force One. You're not allowed in the White House press briefing. Get out. And of course, he wants to fill the void with every right-wing hack outlet you could possibly imagine. So they give him questions that are more like coddling his nutsack. So this tweet here from Mark Caputo says, President Trump's decision to limit AP reporters' access is as much a fight over the Gulf of America as it is a protest of what White House advisors say is years of liberal word choices that the AP's influential style book has spread across mainstream media. So Medhi Hasan sees that and says, hey, JD Vance, and he tags JD, I know you're busy lecturing the Europeans on free speech, but have you seen this? In other words, hey, you shameless, disgusting hack, you can lecture the rest of the world, free speech, censorship on social media, bro. But you can be presented with countless examples of Trump being the most anti-free speech, anti-First Amendment, anti-free press president in modern American history, and you have nothing to say about it, nothing at all. So this is Medhi Hasan directly calling out JD Vance and saying, look, if you're not a hack, if you have principles and standards and convictions, disagree with the big guy who's trying to basically purge all even mildly critical media. I mean, Trump's trying to make a big deal out of this small thing because he's setting the table for what he's going to do in the future, which is he'll do more extreme things, he'll do more absurd things, and if he doesn't get positive coverage over it, then he's just going to basically take that media and try to strip them of whatever power he possibly can, right? He's talking about delicensing news outlets he doesn't like. This is who this guy is, right? So anyway, Medhi Hasan says that, and then JD Vance responds, ready? Yes, dummy. I think there's a difference between not giving a reporter a seat in the White House press briefing room and jailing people for dissenting views. The latter is a threat to free speech. The former is not. Hope that helps. So this is, I saw somebody describe this on Twitter as JD Vance is soy-lennial posting. Look, this isn't a partisan point because, to be fair, Trump is one of the greatest posters of all time, even though he's a psychopath, even though he's a war criminal, etc. Everybody knows that. JD Vance is like one of the worst posters of all time because he's just like, it's just all so try-hard and so sad. So AOC jumps into the fight and says the following, at JD Vance, you lied to the world in Munich, where he gave his speech and talked about free speech. If this administration believed in free speech, as you claimed, its leaders wouldn't be threatening members of Congress with criminal investigations for educating the public of their constitutional rights. Look in the mirror. And then she links to this article, Trump's border czar ups the ante against Ocasio-Cortez, seeks DOJ investigation. So in other words, she says, the exact thing that you say you're worried about, like criminal penalties over speech, your administration is literally doing that to me right now because I decided to tell immigrants what their constitutional rights are and what they legally have the ability to do in a confrontation with ICE. Now, weird, so I'll scroll down here. I don't see any response from JD Vance. That is very bizarre. It's almost like he was absolutely positively checkmated and had no response, so he decided to ignore it. Now, but look, it goes deeper than that. I need you guys to understand something. At this late date, if anybody on the right pretends to love free speech, understand they're lying. It's not even like, oh, they're misinformed, they don't know the track record. No, people know at least some of the track record of the right and the track record of Trump when it comes to speech. So if they're still trying to pretend Like, this is their main issue. Remember, 5 years ago, every single right-winger in the world, oh, free speech, bro, First Amendment, bro, free press, bro, that's what we're all about. Look at these social justice warriors trying to censor people. Look at that person with purple hair trying to censor people. Look, they're trying to stop Ben Shapiro from talking on a college campus. Bro, biggest issue in the world, bro. That's what they were all about. And what are we dealing with today? The president that they support, that they love, that they defend. He sued the Des Moines Register for a poll he didn't like. Went after Ann Selzer because she had a Kamala +4 poll, suing over that. Suing. He sued CBS for how it edited a Kamala Harris interview. He sued Simon & Schuster, the book company, because they sold a Bob Woodward book and it quoted him in it and he didn't like the quote. Does that sound like a free speech lover to you? He threatened to de-license news outlets that criticize him. He said repeatedly we should punish flag burning with a year in jail. That is literally directly against the First Amendment, as the Supreme Court has ruled. He sued CNN for over $400 million because they called election denialism the big lie. Before he was president, he sued Bill Maher for $5 million over a joke. He says he supports opening up the libel laws to sue journalists he doesn't like. He called for jailing journalists for reporting on the Supreme Court abortion ruling. He just signed an executive order with the intent of deporting pro-Palestine protesters. He's smearing them as pro-Hamas, he's smearing them as pro-terrorist, and he's saying, if you're here on any kind of visa, we're going to kick you out if you dare to protest in defense of Palestine because they're being genocided right now. Last time he was president, what did he do? He gag-ordered the EPA from telling the truth on climate change. He arrested and charged 6 journalists with felony rioting. All the right-wingers love to pretend they're anti-establishment, right? Okay, well, why didn't Trump pardon Assange or Snowden or Daniel Hale? All of the anti-establishment heroes that they still say they support. Trump never pardoned them. He never pardoned them. You're telling me this guy believes in free speech when he tried to invoke the Insurrection Act to deploy U.S. troops against George Floyd protesters and shoot them in the leg? He called to terminate all rules, regulations, and articles in the Constitution because he lost and he wanted to get back in office. This is who we're talking about here. The idea that you can lecture anybody anywhere about free speech. If you're going to lecture anybody, start with your boss. But he can't do it, and he won't do it because, as I pointed out, he's the fucking water boy. His whole thing is like, let me say nothing, be invisible, be useless, and then if the president wants me to, I guess I'll go on like ABC and defend him and like smugly argue with some journalist who's correct, right? And when I'm not doing that, I'm soy-lennial posting about the importance of free speech. By the way, I agree. I'm a huge free speech bro. The fact of the matter is, they are not. They are not. What they mean when they harp away on free speech, what they mean is you have to let me and my friends and the white nationalists and the neo-Nazis and all of these absolute fucking cretins, the transphobes, etc., they should be able to say and allowed to say whatever the fuck they want. And they shouldn't even get, fact-checked on social media and shouldn't have any accounts banned, even if they're doing direct threats of violence. That's what they mean. That's what they mean. But are they principled? Do they say, hey, you know what? Elon banned a bunch of Antifa accounts. I'm against that because I believe in free speech. Bring back the Antifa accounts. Fucking of course not. Of course not. So they use it. It's a hack trick that they use to try to act like we're crusaders on behalf of high-minded Enlightenment Western values of free speech, right? But then when the rubber meets the road, they are super hostile to it. There's been over a dozen, I think over 20 Republican states that have done like anti-protest laws. They did that in the wake of the George Floyd protests. The anti-BDS laws. So many red states. It's illegal to criticize Israel. You can lose a government subsidy that you're entitled to if you criticize Israel. If you say, I support BDS. This is the fucking asshole who has the nerve to lecture everybody about free speech. And then when Medhi Hasan correctly calls him out and AOC correctly calls him out, he smugly soy-lennial posts and then shuts the fuck up because he knows he's checkmated. I would love to debate this beefy freak on the issue of free speech, on the issue of a free press, on the First Amendment. And I'd run circles around him because he doesn't know the first fucking thing. I mean, the fact of the matter is, he does. He knows Trump has an abysmal record when it comes to free speech. He knows that's the case. He knows that's the case. But he'll still pretend like, oh, bro, the left are the biggest threat to free speech, bro. And by the way, the thing he was fucking taking issue with was like, they have the, in Germany in particular, there are like anti-Nazi laws where they feel like, yeah, okay, you can have free speech, but we don't want another Hitler, so we're going to make sure you can't like glorify the Third Reich. And that's, oh, bro, how dare you do that? That's not fair. That's against free speech. And that's what like the smug lecturing is about, right? It's like, wow, what a cause to champion. Please, we need to be allowed to say Nazi things again. Let us say them. Like, of all of the righteous crusades, this is what you fucking settled on as you work for the worst authoritarian in modern American history who's deeply anti-free speech and he doesn't even try to hide it. Really? Again, if you're going to talk about this issue from a serious perspective, go fucking talk to your boss and tell him, hey man, you got to chill. You're waging a war on the First Amendment. This is too much. But shout out Medhi. And oh, by the way, Medhi invited JD Vance on his show to say, look, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, bro. Oh my God, JD would get absolutely obliterated. For the love of God, go on Medhi's show. We would love to see that. We'd love to see you on Zateo. Please do it. And again, shout out AOC for hopping in there and being like, hey, jackass, your administration right now is threatening to jail me because I dare to tell immigrants their constitutional rights. So unless and until JD Vance comes out and criticizes his own side and his administration over free speech and free press concerns, I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want to fucking hear it from this loser, okay? That's what being principled is. Just like back in the day years ago, people like me came out, lefties came out and said, look, I hate Ann Coulter, but you should let her give her stupid fucking speech on the college campus, right? We came out to that. Why? Because we're principled. But him, 78 way worse examples of suppression and censorship when it comes to free speech. He's got nothing to say. Because what's he doing? He's trying to hop on the bandwagon and be the heir apparent to the MAGA throne. He wants to be president, so there won't be a peep of disagreement or criticism from JD Vance ever when it comes to Donald Trump. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.